So I'm finally going to be able to get to work on the outside of my addition to put the siding on it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey everybody, this is Bill with Live Simple, Live Free, and if you've been watching this project at all, you may have remembered me saying many times that I wanted to finish the outside of the addition before the weather closed in, before I go into the inside. But that just simply didn't happen because our marble countertops in the kitchen that we ordered months ago are actually being delivered next week. And this right here is where the old original door was. And I realized that because of the deadline of the countertops, I had to get this done because the new countertops are going to come out about this far into what used to be the opening of the door. So I had to get this door framed in so the countertops can go in here. I couldn't do that until I could break in the original where the window was, and I couldn't do that until I got heat in the addition. So I had to do the insulation and the heat before I could even break through and get all of this stuff. So I had some deadlines. I didn't have any choice. I had to work inside. But now that this is done, I'm looking forward to the countertops being delivered next week. Now I can start going out and working outside. So this is Monday, December 27th, 2 days after Christmas. And fortunately, talking about, getting it in before the cold weather comes. Fortunately, it's been a very mild fall and winter so far. And in fact, this whole week between Christmas and New Year's, they're predicted to be highs in the 60s every day. So I'm out here just in a sweatshirt doing this work. Could have been much worse. So here's the overall plan. This right in here, this end of the house is north facing. The siding on there is very old. It needs to be replaced. It's also covered with a growth like a moss or something. It would all wash off, but I'm just going to replace it. So when we do the addition here, I'm just going to tear off the siding there and do siding all the way down the whole thing, as well as, of course, around the sides of the addition. Eventually, probably next summer, we'll do the rest of the house, new siding all the way around the other three sides of the house. But for right now, I'm not going to be working on that. I'm just going to be working on the soffit underneath, the fascia, and the gutters. Our crawl space down under there, under the new addition, is actually pretty wet. And it shouldn't be. But there's two reasons that happens. First of all, I did some backfill here. You can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, right in here where the backfill has settled, it was up to the level of the tar and the plastic, and it settled that much. What happens in the first year when you backfill, that dirt is softer than the rest, so when water hits on there, it actually sinks down in easily and then goes through the wall, and you get a wet foundation. After it's been there for a year, it'll compact. I'll put a little bit more on top, and then the water will tend to run off. So I've had leaky basements or crawl spaces in the first year many times, and then they just stop on their own as that gets compacted. The other issue is I've got a roof up here. This entire roof here and there all drips down here, drips right onto that where the dirt is soft. So I got all that roof water up there going right down into the crawl space. So part of it will resolve itself over the winter. It'll pack down more, like I said, but I also want to get the gutter up here and the downspout over here and push the water away so that hopefully I can get that crawl space dry. And I'm confident that it will be dry after I get all this done. It's not like there's standing water in there, but when I go down there, it's kind of muddy-ish rather than completely dry like it should be. So that's the plan. So I'll be putting the soffit under here, and right there you can see the end of the insulation, and you can see the end of the insulation baffles right there that leave some room in here for the air to circulate up to the top, up to the peak. So as I've mentioned before, the ventilation system for the roof, this is the soffit that I'm going to put there, and you can see that it's perforated so that air can go in there. So the cool air will get sucked in here through the perforations, up through that vent baffling, and then out a ridge vent that runs along the top. So you get the hot air going out up there, the cool air being sucked in down here. And that's what keeps the air circulating, keeps it from having mildew problems and stuff like that. So the first thing I need to do is nail the F-strip up against the wall like that. Now, it's probably called F-strip because it's shaped like an F. So I've got the first piece of soffit cut to length. I just put it up here, push it into the F-strip and over here. And then I'm just going to put one nail right here. Don't even have to nail anything back here because the F-strip holds it in place. Now, because this is the first one, I'm going to put one extra nail right here, but I will not do that in ones after this. And then one here. That keeps the center from sagging. So when you put in the next one, you just lock it right into there, slide it up into the F-strip, and then put one nail right here. And then I'm putting one extra nail right there just to keep it from sagging. So that's all there is to it. This one nail holds it in place. This is held in by the nail underneath, and you can't see any nails once it's finished because they're all hidden. Now, why does the soffit run this way instead of this way? To tell you the truth, I don't have a clue. That's just the way it's always been done. And especially if you have a real short eave, sometimes it's not as wide as the soffit and you'd have to rip the entire soffit down. But if you do it this way, you can just cut little pieces and put it in there. But you can see, I don't know if you can see that, the old one, but that's run the same way as this. So I don't really know why, but it's just always done that way. I have seen a few run the other way and they look kind of funny. Maybe just as because I'm used to it going this way. So when I first started doing this many years ago, I made all of these cuts with tin snips. I did many houses, entire houses, just cutting it with tin snips. What's the best way to cut this? Well, I can take a skill saw, put the blade in backwards and cut each one. The best way is with a radial arm saw. That's a saw that hangs on an arm that I can pull it towards me in the back. You put the blade in backwards and you just cut it that way. Makes it nice and straight. Somewhere along the line I bought a radial arm saw just for siding, and I used it for many years. I no longer have it because I downsized when I moved here because I didn't think I was going to be doing this work anymore. So I don't want to go buy a radial arm saw just for this one job, so I'm going to go back to cutting it with tin snips. And this is actually faster than you might think. Like I said, I've done many houses just with this. That's not too bad. Okay, so you can see that once you have these cut to the right length, actually installing it goes pretty quickly, especially if you can speed it up in editing. But no, seriously, this took me less than 10 minutes to do this. You can move right along. Now under the eave here, the soffit is running this way. Right here it goes up to the peak, and the soffit's going to turn and go the other way. So I have to make a seam here. Sometimes you can do it at a diagonal like that, but I'm going to make it straight. So what I've done is I've taken 2 F-strips and I'm going to put them back to back. I cut out a notch here where it will go over there. And then I nail them both back to back from the same side right here. And that'll actually look very nice when it's finished. So now I've got this last piece, cut it to length and then ripped it down to the right width to finish this off. Now I am going to surface nail this last one to keep it in place, and I've got these tiny little white nails that are made for this, and once you put those in they'll disappear, you won't even see them. There we go. So now I've got to continue the F-strip up to the peak of the gable end. So I have the F-strip here and it's upside down. I can match this one with it the correct way and it'll butt right up right there and look fine. So now I've got this soffit done. I've got my back-to-back F-strip here. So now I'm going to switch directions with the soffit to go up toward the gable end. This goes in like this. Now, because this is the first one, I'm going to put a couple of those little white nails just to hold it in place. And also when the fascia goes on, that'll also hold it in place. I'll show you that later when I get to it. So now I can just run with these as well, locking them in here and nailing them up there. I've ripped this down to the right width to go in here. I'm going to finish it off with a couple of little white surface nails, and they'll just disappear in here. So you may notice that I put the soffit sloped, matching the slope of the roof on the underside of the rafters, instead of flat like this. You know, like soffits usually are. So why did I do that? Well, I wanted to put this 3-foot eave on here so that it'll be a little bit of a roof covering for the stoop here by the steps to protect from the rain or whatever. And by coming out 3 feet instead of the normal standard 1 foot, notice that this is lower than the top of the door. So if I had started here and run level, it would have cut off the top 4 or 5 inches of the door. So that's why I did it like this. It works fine, just looks a little different. You can also see the finished product right here, where I put those 2 F strips back to back to join the soffit running different directions. And as you can see, it looks quite fine. So I hope you've enjoyed this video of how to install the soffit. The next step, of course, is to put the fascia on. A lot of people these days are using vinyl fascia. I still prefer aluminum, so I'll be using aluminum fascia. Then after I get the fascia on, then I can put the gutters on. But that'll be in another video, so look for that one. And thanks for watching, everybody. Live simple, live free, you be blessed. See you next time.